let's talk about this piece. This is even more fascinating to me than probably the finished product. I love this behind the scenes stuff. I can't help it. I'm a geek. So this is page 23 from Astromythos by John. In this, he outlines how he designed the planets and the comets. We just looked at, in the previous video, the comets, and I'm going to show you both pages here. We're going to start on the left and then work to our right. But if you haven't seen that video where you see the final illustration and poem, check it out. It's beautiful. All right, let's start over here on the left with the planets. I love this font. Let's get our editing tool out here and get a markup so you can see what I'm talking about. So over here on the left, we have a really cool font. I'm pretty sure this is a hand-drawn font by John right there. You've got these lovely little details on the inside. See those right there? And then down here, these are called serifs, by the way. If you don't have these little ends on your fonts, then it's called sans serif. Little tidbit there. Sans means without. From my days of education. I love this little double detail work right there. Those little tails, almost like brackets. And then in the background, just subtle little graphics like this that harken back to some of, who knows, maybe Native American or some other type of research that John has done. He's big into using art history and going to museums for materials. But in this case, I love the way he talks about and shows his ideas almost of like a beetle. We have these little bugs around us. We call them wheelie bugs. I don't know if that's the technical names, but they're little bugs that when you touch them, they turn into a ball, right? And so there he's sketching that out. He's sketching out some smaller versions, right? Here, maybe these are satellites around this planet. And he's exploring. Now, here's what he has to say about this larger, more finished illustration that he does of a planet. He says, the planets were difficult to design, quite like the stars. I had no frame of reference for these either, just a mishmash of circles with faces in old astronomy books. I totally want to see those. Some of John's work really reminds me of Byzantine illustrated manuscripts, and that's, I think, kind of what he's referencing there, is these old little faces from manuscripts. So I looked to the spherical creatures in the animal kingdom for ideas. Fabulous idea. I found that turtles and tortoises worked best for terrestrial planets because of their hard, curvilinear shells. Makes complete sense to me, right? You've got this curve of a tortoise and then the head coming out, right? Totally with the tail. I can see it just elongated. Little front legs. So I found that turtles and tortoises worked best for terrestrial planets because of their hard, curvilinear shells, which I transformed into crater shells for my design. Birds and winged creatures looked best for my gas giant or Jovian planets because such planets are more airy and less dense than planets closer to the sun. The planet design on the bottom of this page was inspired by a turkey. I love it. So I think right here you can see some of the turkey influences with this bearding. Turkeys have the most ugly bearding if you've ever had the pleasure of looking closely at a turkey face. All right, over here on page 2, he talks about his design of the comets. He says, one of the myths in Astromythos is a comet origin story. I developed this design for my comet characters and their queen, Anthroraka. Is that how you say that? Anthroraka? What do you guys think? Give me some feedback on names here. This is the first time these names have ever been said out loud, probably outside of John's private friend circle. Am I killing it or slandering it? Or slaying it? Anyways, I love this over here. Frost crystals. See the little study of frost crystals? Icicles and creatures with tails served as reference material for this design. I also embedded some eyes, and I talk about that in the previous video. Some eyes into the tails of my comets, which denote a sense of watchfulness and scrunchity. The ice horns are a nod to the story of Brer Rose and the suitor snatching thorns, which acted as a barrier between the princess and her champion. Personally, I'm going to have to go back and read Brer Rose. I haven't read that in a million years, so I'm going to have to look it up. His references are deep and many. So here's some of the preliminary sketches of the queen. I love it. She's this queen warrior. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Ooh, 11 eyes. In the final design, she has 9. And here you can see some of those ice crystals in her armor. And then as he gets more into detail, you can really see ice crystals, right? All these crystals jutting out and this kind of headdress sweeping back with some motion. And then bling there she's holding. Lots of detail, almost lace-like work at the sleeves and the cuffs. Just layers and layers and layers of it to give it dimension. Now, how much of this ended up in the final piece? You'll need to check out Astromythos and get one of these novels for yourself, because his artwork is amazing and the gold gilt just makes it pop. So there you have it, a double spread on the planets and comets, showing you some of the detail work, this nice little scrolling over here, and the kind of tan color, almost sepia, is a nice extra little touch where he makes the book feel old and worn and more like manuscripts. So you've got these swirly twirly designs that create that air of a bygone era. There you have it, a sneak preview of Astromythos by John. And check out his episode on theartistappeals.com if you want to listen to him talk about the invention, creation, and process that he goes through for creating a whole big, crazy, amazing, beautiful oil painting of these. I've seen them in person, folks. They're just so shiny and so deep with the depth. Just amazing. Check it out. And thank you for listening. This is Erin from theartistappeals.com.